Bob, Scotland lies in ruins, and ancient clans are rebuilding civilization. How are we going to do it?
Lay some tiles and see who has the most points?
I'm in. Hey guys, I'm Mike.
I'm Bob.
And this is the Board Game Rundown, and today we are reviewing Rebirth, published by Mighty Boards, designed by Reiner Knizia, 2 to 4 player game that plays in about 60 minutes. In Rebirth, society is left in shambles, and we are rebuilding Ireland. How do we do that? Well, we do that with some tile laying and area majority. So at the beginning of the Ireland map, there are 2 different sides of the map, Ireland and Scotland. Ireland is the more advanced. We're going to show you how this works, and then we'll explain Scotland after this. You start by taking 4 tiles randomly from your pile. You're going to look at them and put them aside. You will not be using them unless there's a special ability. Then you're going to take 1 tile, and that is the tile that you are going to place on your turn. On your turn, place a tile, score the tile, draw a replacement tile. That's it. Turns go really fast. What are the tiles and how do they score? These are grain farms. Grain farms have to be placed either where a grain farm is shown or a blank space. As soon as you place it, you're going to score for each tile similar of your color that is adjacent. If I place this one by itself, it would just score 1 point. But if I place it here, it scores 3 points for being in a group of 3 farm tiles. This energy tile does not score because it is different. So likewise, my energy tiles have to be placed either in energy or blanks, but if all energy or farm is completely covered up, energy tokens can be placed inside of farm tokens and vice versa. They all score like such. The other ones that you'll run across are these settlement tiles. Settlement tiles have to be placed into settlements, and settlements are an area majority game that you're playing. Let's say you place 1 settlement into a size 1 settlement. You're going to score for each house on that tile. They go from 1 to 4, and you have 3 of each. Now, let's say you decided to place it into this one, where Bob already is. Well, this is where area majority comes in. Bob has the most influence because he has 4 influence on this, and this is a medium settlement. So you refer to the scoring track down at the bottom. Bob would score 5 points. I would score 3 points for being second place in this settlement. The scoring gets bigger and bigger as we go to large settlements that are 3s and 4s. You can score 8 points for having the most, 5 points for having the second most, and 4 size settlements go all the way up to 12. Now, let's say it is a medium settlement and you have all the tiles on there. You score all those points. So you add the 5 and 3 together for 8 points just for a medium size settlement. And with this one here, you get 13 points. And with the largest one, the person that placed all the tiles gets all of those points. So 25 points are available for the person placing all of the tiles there. The interesting thing here is that ties, the placer of the tile loses the tie. So you don't want to tie. If you're going to place a tile, you want to make sure that you are winning. Okay. There's also an area majority when it comes to going around castles. If you have the most tiles around a castle, you could place one of your castles onto the castle spot on the board. All of these have an icon and are purplish pink on the board, so I would place that. Now, if Bob were to place one of his tokens over here, again, he loses the tie because he placed the tile. If he places another one, my castle goes away and it gets replaced by his castle. Let's say that there is still a tie based on the number of tiles that are around it. Well, Bob has the more farm tokens next to it, and that breaks the tie. Let's say if there's a tie between number of tokens and farm tiles, the placer of the token still loses the tie.
Right.
Okay, so that's the one interesting thing about this game is that you want to break that tie when you're placing a tile. You don't want a tile, so you're losing it when you place the
You
tile.
have to overcome how many are there.
Correct. Yep. So the other thing that can happen here is you've got these little special action tokens here. As soon as you just place one tile adjacent next to one of those, doesn't matter what kind it is, you're going to resolve the effect. These here allow you to place the extra tokens that you've set aside, those 4 secret ones. This one here allows you to look at 3 tiles secretly and choose the one you're going to place on your next turn. This one here allows you to add another card from this stack, and it becomes a secret objective, because on the Ireland map, we are competing for these 8 public objectives. If you're the first person to do it, you're going to score either 12 or 8 points, sometimes 6, and then second place to do it, or second person to achieve these goals, will get the next highest point total, 5, 6, and 4. And these are different things like occupying contiguous spaces that link towers, a very hard one to do. Occupy 4 spaces adjacent to 1 tower. Occupy 4 contiguous coastline spaces. So these are these public objectives that you're going for, but you do have opportunities to draw private ones and score those only by yourself. There are some that allow you to score 3 points immediately. There's 3 13-point ones. You have to be next to or adjacent to all of those to score the 13 points for those. Additionally, there is, I did do that one. That is play one of your secret 4. And then there's the doubler token. So what the doubler token does is you place it on one of the public objectives that you have not yet completed. And then when you do complete it, you're going to get double the points for it. So that one is really nice. You'll see these ports on the edge of the board. They just give you an instant additional point. And you keep playing until all players have played all of their tiles, which is always the same number of rounds.
22.
Yep. So once you've played all of your tiles, you're going to add up the score, and the most points wins. Each castle is worth 5 points at the end of the game. And the cathedrals are just placed on these public tokens, on these public objectives that you also score at the end of the game, plus your private objectives. Very straightforward. That's basically all you need to know how to play Rebirth. This is the Ireland side of the map. This is the more complicated side of the map, actually. If you play the Scotland side, basically what you're doing instead is there are no public objectives. Instead, the cathedrals are places on the map, and as soon as you place a tile adjacent to one, you're going to draw a private mission. And these are very different missions from these public objectives here. There are no public objectives on the Scottish side of the map.
Yep, and there's no towers either.
Correct. There's also no special abilities here. Those are completely off of the map.
It's a nice way to intro the game to people who are as heavy into games and whatnot.
Absolutely. They do suggest starting with the Scotland side of the map. The other main difference is you have 2 secret tiles instead of 4 secret tiles.
And the doubler's not used.
The doubler's not used, and there's no additional way to place those tiles. You just don't use them.
Correct.
So there you go. That's both versions of the game. Bob and I have played both versions at 2-player. We're going to give you our thoughts, and we're going to score it. Bob, what did you think of Rebirth?
I really enjoyed it. I like tile laying games. We did end up using, because I'm not a big fan of okay, we'll lay these tiles out and pull one at random. Anytime I'm doing that, I want a bag. I want to reach my hand in the bag, pull a tile out. It's just easier to use a draw bag as opposed to doing that.
We use some of yours at the house, but highly recommend it for this game.
Yep. I do think these bits are really nice. They're not plastic. They're some sort of a composite recycled component.
Remanufactured wood or something.
Yeah, something like that. But they're really nice. Poly. And they got the little Celtic knots on the top. So those are pretty cool.
Components are great.
The player aids could have been a little better. They do a good job with the tower tiles, because that's one of the things you'll need the iconography breakdown a little bit more. But once you've played it once or twice, and then something I didn't realize too is that on the -- you got to be next to both of those before you get the objective. Half is lit up on one side, half's lit up on the other one, and where you have to be next to all 3 of the 13s, they're shaded on the 3 different sides there. So it's kind of a way to indicate that, I need to have all 3 of those. So that's pretty cool. But I like these kinds of games. My brain enjoys the scratch of that itch. I do tend to do pretty good with them. Competing for public objectives, trying to be race towards those. I mean, you do have a 300-point tile thing. Like, we didn't quite get that high with our scores, but man, that's something. I'm sure that would happen more because if you're playing with smaller player counts, that has these little orange spots on the board, and you block those off, and you don't use those spaces for lower player counts, which does kind of tighten the board up a little bit, which is good because otherwise everybody can be left to their own devices to do what they want to do, and you really want to have that player interaction of trying to compete for spaces in the cities, trying to compete for those castles and whatnot. But no, I think this game is really good. It says 60 minutes. I kind of think it's an overshoot. I mean, maybe at 4 players it takes that long.
Yeah.
At 2 players, we banged out 2 games in like 45 or 60 minutes. Like they were pretty quick. So yeah, I think that's that nice sweet spot where a lot of the games are getting to right now, where it's like under 60 minutes. The teach, like you said, you have like you're pulling a tile. You place that tile. Like, that's your turn. So, like, the rules overhead is really low. So that's easy to get people into. And then once they play the base Scotland for a couple of times, you flip it over and kind of, like, up the ante a little bit and, have them try something a little bit harder. So I think it does a good job of having, like, those kind of 2 games in 1 box type of thing.
And at the end of your turn, you do draw your replacement tile. So that can limit some of the AP.
Right.
There's a little bit of AP in this game, so I could see slower players slowing this down a little bit. There's a lot of map to look at on your turn. So at least you have an idea of where you can place for that next turn. The box art is what got me to look at this game first. I'm just going to tell you. Props to the artists on this. I think
that was
the
one of the
boxes,
contenders of the box art of the year for that.
We featured on another stream, and this was one game I nominated because of its box art for best of all of 2024, and it is amazing. I think that the board art is very good, and it's very functional. Like, there's no issues figuring out what goes where
whatsoever.
Yeah, no color issues.
Even with the player components.
They did a great job selecting colorblind friendly components as well. To your point, these cathedrals and these castles are amazing remanufactured wood. But I really appreciate how fast turns go in this game. There's like no downtime. You place a tile, you score it, you draw your next tile. That's it. Like, turns are so quick.
Yeah.
And I can see even at 4 player, just, it's my turn again. Like, and I love games like that where I am just not waiting for people. Again, there might be some AP players that could slow this down a little bit with, board status changing and analyzing everything, but not bad. But I really like this. This is a solid, like, light tile laying game. This has some similarities. You can see the bones of several older Knizia tile laying games. But there's some wrinkles to this one that makes it a bit unique from some of those other titles, especially where the tile placer loses the tie. I really like that mechanic because there's some times where, like, these settlements, you're like, I'm going to lose, but I don't want you to get all 8 points.
Yeah.
I got to get at least 3.
I'm going to limp in and get 5 at least.
Yeah, so you like try to find your one settlement token and place it on there. So you're putting your weakest tile out there and getting the most points you can for it. So that contention over those settlements was really interesting. It was really neat to see how the castles would change control throughout the game. And then I know, like, castles was a huge way to score points for Bob at the end of the game. And this is obviously probably pretty close, pretty representative of how we played it with my 2 measly castles over here. I will also say I agree with you on the player aids. Like, even though turn structure is simple, I still want turn structure on a player aid.
Right.
I mean, place a tile, score it, and then grab a replacement. That's easy. But I don't know. I just want to, something a little bit more about turn structure. It's not a deal breaker. It's a nitpick, I guess, for me, if you will. It's a thing I expect to see on a player aid. But overall, very solid, very easy to learn. I could play this with casual gamers. I would call this a gateway game easily. Very light on rules, doesn't overstay its welcome.
Right.
And the kind of game where I'd want to, like, play it again. I'd want to play it like 2 times in a row, which always means it's a solid game. So there you go. That's our thoughts. We're going to go ahead and score this. Bob, how do we score games?
Great question, Mike. So here on the Board Game Rundown, we're going to give this game a rating between 0 and 10. We do use 0.5s for a little bit of variance. We're going to take those scores, we're going to average them together, and that'll be what you see on BGG or Discord or anywhere you might ask what the Board Game Rundown gave it.
So what is the Bob score for Rebirth?
Bob's score for Rebirth, I'm going to be honest, I'm a little sad I traded it away. I'm probably going to have to go pick up another copy of it, but I was happy with the trade that I did. But I traded it before I played it. So, I mean, there is that saving grace for me. But it's an 8.5 for me. This is a game I do want in my collection. I will be going out and picking up another copy of it to keep this time, now that I've played it. But that trade was it was for something that was hard to get.
You got great value.
I got great value.
This is readily available.
And this is readily available, exactly.
You know, I was between 2 scores. We're going to make math easy. I will also give this an 8.5.
Hey, cool.
I really enjoy this. I think it's got a lot of replayability. I can see different players playing this very differently. One thing I could see maybe mitigating some of the luck, there were times where I could not draw a settlement tile for my life. If my life depended on a settlement tile, I was dying because I could not draw them. Maybe if there is a variant where you could draw 2 or where you had 2 or 3 tiles you could see on your turn.
Yeah, go place next to this guy.
Go place next to one of those. But that's just like an ability. Sure. I kind of wish, or maybe you could see 2 tiles and that lets you see 3. I don't know. Maybe that would mitigate the randomness a little bit. I don't mind randomness in my games, but I did find a lot of times I couldn't place what I wanted to.
Well, there's 12 farms, there's 12 lightning bolts, and there's 12 settlements, so it's kind of on you.
I'm just saying, I still gave it an 8.5.
Yeah. So that makes our average an 8.5 for all the math magicians out there.
8.5 from the rundown for Rebirth. It's solid. It's beautiful. It's easy to teach. It's readily available.
It has rounded corners.
It has rounded board corners. I do really like that. The aesthetics of this game are great. I mean, the only thing lacking may be these objective cards, but who really cares?
Yeah.
They just sit there, and then you put your cathedral on them.
That's right. Make them cooler.
I know the deluxe, these are like acrylic. That might have been nice.
Okay.
I did consider, I don't know if some of them would fit in coin capsules better than others, but this just is not a game.
Need it.
Like, it would be nice for that tactile feel. I don't know. I'm
then you can put your settlement ones in bigger coin capsules, so you'll know which ones your settlements are, so you can pull them out each time.
I really kind of feel like I don't know if Mighty Boards is selling like those deluxe tiles separately.
Gotcha.
Or if it feels like a game where, Board Game Geek should sell some geek bits for it. Because you definitely want that tactile feel and bag, though. You're not building a bag. Your bag is already built, but you're
pulling out of there.
You're pulling from there.
Like shuffling them.
You're shuffling.
Feels good.
It would be nice if those were more deluxe tokens.
And the other thing, too, to help with colorblind people is all the player bits are different shapes. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, they are.
They are different shapes.
Yep.
So. But the colors are fine.
They did a great job making this colorblind friendly with all the tokens being a different shape, for sure. So there you go. That is our review of Rebirth. Bob, anything else you want to add?
I don't think so.
If you've made it this far, make sure you like the video, sub to our channel. We're getting real close to 7,000 subs. Probably over by the time you see this video, but every thumb helps. Appreciate you watching. For the Board Game Rundown, I was Mike.
Bob.